Hey everyone, we've got a lot to cover today because there's a powerful and potentially dangerous storm system making its way into the United States over the next several days. This system is going to bring a whole range of serious weather threats, from severe thunderstorms with damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes to heavy snowfall that could lead to blizzard conditions across parts of the Midwest. This is shaping up to be a significant weather event. So we're going to break it all down and go over everything you need to know as this system develops. Let's start with what's happening right now because things are already starting to pick up. Over in the southern plains, we're watching a storm system currently sitting over New Mexico. And as it moves eastward into Texas and Oklahoma later today, it's going to bring the potential for severe weather. There's a conditional risk for a tornado or two, along with damaging wind gusts. And while the threat area isn't huge, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. The most likely area for any tornado development will be just northwest of Wichita Falls, closer to Elk City, Oklahoma. If you're in that region, make sure you have a tornado action plan in place and stay weather aware throughout the day. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. As far as the East Coast goes, things are relatively quiet right now, but that calm isn't going to last long.
Yes.
By Tuesday and Wednesday, this same storm system is going to push eastward and bring a much more active weather pattern with it. We're anticipating the potential for widespread severe storms across a large part of the eastern United States, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. Over on the West Coast, there's a bit of shower and snow shower activity today, but it's not nearly as intense as the atmospheric river events we saw throughout February. Compared to the relentless rain and flooding we've been dealing with over the past month, this is a bit of a breather, and the West Coast will likely avoid the worst of this particular storm system. The real concern over the next few days is the severe weather threat, and things start ramping up as early as tonight. The Storm Prediction Center has already upgraded today's risk to a slight risk of severe weather, mainly across western Oklahoma and eastern Texas. What's driving this upgrade is a legitimate tornado risk. Believe it or not, there's a chance we could see an isolated tornado or two develop later today. While the area of concern is fairly small, it's still important for anyone in that region to stay prepared and have multiple ways to receive weather alerts. If a dangerous storm does develop, we may go live to cover it. So make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications turned on. As we head into late Monday night and early Tuesday morning, the severe weather threat expands and intensifies. This round of storms will affect areas from southern Kansas down into northern Texas. And I think this could actually end up being more significant than some forecasts are currently suggesting. The Storm Prediction Center has already upgraded this region to a slight risk of severe weather, and we're looking at the potential for damaging winds and isolated tornadoes. What makes this setup particularly tricky is the timing. These storms are going to fire up very late at night, possibly after midnight, which means the instability will be limited. That said, the wind shear in this area is going to be off the charts, and that's one of the key ingredients for tornado development. Because of this, I wouldn't be surprised if we see an upgrade to a 5 tornado risk in future outlooks. Things start looking more dangerous. We could even go live early Tuesday morning to cover the situation. Tuesday is shaping up to be the most significant day for severe weather, and this is when things could really get dangerous. Right now, the greatest risk seems to be concentrated across parts of Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana, where we're expecting the highest likelihood of damaging winds and tornadoes. The Storm Prediction Center has already issued an enhanced risk for this region, which tells you how serious this situation could become. That said, there's still a lot of uncertainty with this forecast. One of the things we've been watching closely is the amount of instability and moisture being pulled up from the Gulf of Mexico. Over the past couple of computer model runs, those ingredients haven't been looking quite as robust as they were a few days ago, and that's lowering our confidence a bit in just how intense this severe weather event will get. Even with those questions, though, this is still going to be a dangerous day of weather. The wind shear is more than sufficient for tornado development, and if we get even a little more instability than what's currently forecast, this could turn into a very serious situation. Further north, areas like Kansas City, central Illinois, and Indiana won't see nearly the same level of severe weather threat. The moisture and instability just aren't there, which means the risk for tornadoes or damaging winds is pretty low in those areas. That's some good news if you're in the central part of the country, but we'll still need to keep an eye on any last minute changes in the forecast. By Wednesday, this system pushes even farther east, bringing the final round of severe weather to areas from Florida and Georgia all the way up into New Jersey. The primary threat on Wednesday looks like it will be damaging winds with a chance for some hail and maybe a couple of tornadoes. I don't expect this day to be as intense as Tuesday, but it's still important to stay prepared. Make sure you have a tornado action plan in place in multiple ways to receive warnings, especially if you're in an area prone to severe weather. On top of all this severe weather, we're also looking at a major winter storm developing across parts of the Midwest. This system is going to dump heavy snow across states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and parts of Kansas City, and blizzard conditions are definitely in play. We're talking about wind-driven snow, whiteout conditions, and the potential for over 6 inches of accumulation in some areas. This is an incredibly powerful low-pressure system, one of the strongest we've seen in March in quite some time, and it's going to create dangerous travel conditions across the upper Midwest. As the system moves eastward, we'll likely see lingering snowfall into parts of Michigan and the Upper Peninsula before things finally start to quiet down by Thursday. By Tuesday, the system will ramp up quickly, producing widespread precipitation and a rapidly strengthening cyclone right in the middle of the country. We could be looking at a pressure drop below 988 millibars, which would make this one of the most powerful March storms on record. And when a system gets this strong, every type of weather it brings becomes more dangerous. On the cold side of the storm, heavy snow and blizzard conditions will stretch from Colorado all the way to Wisconsin and Michigan's Upper Peninsula. We're not necessarily talking about massive snow totals, but the combination of snow and intense winds will create whiteout conditions. Gusts could hit 60 to 80 miles per hour near the Front Range and 30 to 50 mph farther north, making travel extremely dangerous and increasing the risk of widespread power outages. As the storm strengthens Tuesday into Wednesday, those powerful winds will spread across the Great Lakes region, even in areas getting mostly rain like Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Line-driven downpours could cause localized damage and flooding. By midweek, the snow will push into Ontario and Quebec while the rain and storms move closer to the east. If you're north of the storm's warm front, expect breezy, rainy conditions, nothing too extreme. But south of that line, the severe weather risk becomes much more serious. Once the storm passes, cold air will rush in behind it, dropping temperatures below average in many areas, though it won't stick around too long before things start warming back up. So what are the key takeaways here? First, the wind. We're looking at widespread gusts of 30 MPA or more across much of the central U.S., which means power outages and dangerous travel conditions are likely. It's like the highest blizzard risk will be in parts of Nebraska and Colorado, where blizzard warnings are almost a sure thing. Even in areas with lighter snowfall, sometimes less than an inch, the strong winds will create dangerous whiteout conditions. As for snow totals, some parts of Iowa could see over 3 inches, while parts of southeast Minnesota and northern Wisconsin could pick up 6 inches or more. The upper peninsula of Michigan looks like it could get the most, with some spots getting over a foot of snow. The wind is going to be a major issue, especially on Tuesday. We're talking about the potential for hurricane-force wind gusts along the Front Range. In the southern plains, those winds will be dry, creating an extremely dangerous fire weather situation from New Mexico into Texas. Wildfires could spread fast, and that fire risk might extend farther east as well. On the other side of the storm, where Gulf moisture is surging in, heavy rain will lead to flooding concerns, especially in the mid-Mississippi River Valley, with many rivers already near or above flood stage. This new round of rainfall could push them over the edge. Areas from southwest Kentucky to northern Louisiana and parts of Missouri and Iowa should be prepared for rising water levels and potential flooding. As the storm moves east, there's also a chance for severe weather along the East Coast, from southern New Jersey down to southeast Georgia. Right now, damaging winds seem like the main threat, but there's potential for a few tornadoes as well. We'll know more as we get closer to the event. Today's storms in Oklahoma and Texas kick things off with a slight risk of severe weather and a 5 chance of a tornado or two. The window for tornadic activity is short, but it's something to keep an eye on, especially around places like Elk City and Altus. The bigger threat today is probably hail, but there's always the potential for a brief, isolated tornado. For storm chasers, today could offer a good opportunity for capturing some dramatic photos of a well-formed supercell or even a photogenic tornado. As we move into Monday, the severe weather threat expands into Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and Wichita Falls, with damaging winds being the main concern. But the real action starts on Tuesday when the storm fully taps into Gulf moisture and sets up the potential for strong, long-track tornadoes. In the meantime, don't panic, but do prepare. Make sure you know your tornado safety plan, especially if you're in the areas under threat on Tuesday. Go over your plan with your family, friends, or anyone you'll be with so everyone knows what to do if a warning is issued. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.